I'm here today with Jeff Tyler of Situ Orchids, and this is his amazing greenhouse. And Jeff is going to tell us how he got into growing orchids and some of the really cool species he's got in here. So, Jeff, you have a really weird origin story for your orchid growing. So, how did you get it started in this?
It's just slightly weird. I mean, so I've always liked plants since I was a little kid. So my little origin story, my little kid origin story is that, you know, we had a wild peach tree on the side of our house where I grew up, and the birds would eat a bunch, we would eat a bunch, and then like a bunch of little plants would come up in the underneath the peach tree. So I would dig them up and put them in little pots and put them in my wagon and take them around the neighborhood and try to sell them for like a nickel. This is way back in the day when a nickel was a lot of money. So anyway, that's kind of my origin story with like plants. And then that just obviously I've always loved them, that's I was like 8 years old or whatever back then. And then when I became a teenager, we lived in a rental house and my dad helped me build a greenhouse and I tried to grow orchids. But, I lived pretty rural, not really, there was way before the internet, and didn't really have access to a library or anything, so I was just doing all this like on the cuff, and I wasn't very good about it because I was young and I wasn't very patient, like a lot of young people are not very patient. So anyway, but I grew Hoyas and cactus and other thing, and I did just fine with that stuff. So then I became an young adult, and lived in apartments and all that stuff, and this is all way before also all the cool doodads that you guys have now for terrariums and plug in little computer fans and all that cool stuff that you have in misters. So I didn't really do much with plants as like a young adult, and then I moved to California in 1988, and pretty much the same thing for a long time. And then 23 years ago I met my spouse and we bought a house, and I built a greenhouse the following year, joined the Orchid Society, and started growing orchids. So I've been doing that now for about 23 years.
So you went from managing a record store into having one of the coolest orchid greenhouses that I have ever seen.
Yeah, I also did work in a super cool record store for 19 years called The Beat Records here in Sacramento. It's very much a well-known record store here. And I did love that, but, while I worked at the record store is when I met my spouse, and, and then we bought a house, and I built the greenhouse. So, yeah, I kind of did records and orchids for a long time. And then once the record store went away, because we all know that those have kind of disappeared, I turned my hobby into a business.
Very cool. You've crossed a bunch of really cool orchids, so you want to show us one of your favorites?
Yeah, I've since I started my own business and we bought this new property 7 years ago and built this nice, lovely big greenhouse, I really started trying to expand my business, and the biggest way to do that was for me to create my own seedlings, either hybrids or selfings of species or outcrosses of species. And so I've done a few Bobilum hybrids, and my proudest one is one that is Bobilum cruentum by Agaster. And it turned out really nice. It's the best hybrid I think I've made. And I call it Bobilum Zagreus. And Zagreus is a Latin or Greek word for like god of blood. So we got some
seems very fitting for this one.
We got some old flowers there, but there's two good flowers.
That's beautiful. So this is full size, and it's
yeah, this is blooming size. They've been blooming for probably the last 2-3 years. I've got them all over the place.
And we still have yours at the warehouse, and I love the purple base on the leaves.
Oh yeah.
Some
of the leaves have some purple on them and stuff in there. Yeah, so this is the best hybrid I've made. It's much easier to grow than the two parents. It flowers much more than the two parents. I almost always have flowers. I mean, I've probably got 50 or 60 of these things left right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I always have flowers on one of them. Seems like year round, I've always got flowers somewhere. So yeah, this is best hybrid I've ever made. Here's another hybrid I made. It's okay.
What were the parents of this cross?
This cross here is a plant called Depultura. Or no, I'm sorry. the hybrid name on this is Bobilum Depultura, which means bloodletting.
Okay.
So
I'm
as you
seeing the
can see,
three. Yeah.
there's a theme going on here
Yes.
with things with blood.
So
So
you got to stick with the red flowers.
correct. So for this plant, this is Cootsie, Bobilum Cootsie, which you can see a little bit in these not dorsal, these lateral sepals here, these petals right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I crossed it with this because I can't get this to self.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
And I only have the one plant. I don't have a different clone. This is Bobilum, and this is,
so you can only do divisions from this guy.
yeah,
then.
this is Caliglosum.
Okay.
And the spikes on it will last quite a long time, and you'll get one flower at a time that will open.
That is.
But it will rebloom from that spike for, I don't know, you get 20, 25 flowers maybe.
That is crazy.
Off of
Those
one
are
spike.
very unusual looking flower spikes.
Yeah. I love this. This is one of my favorite Bobilums, but I got this as a seedling off of eBay years ago, and I wish I would have bought two because we had several.
Oh no.
But I was more poor back then, and so I only felt like I could buy one.
You gotta make do with what you got. And then
Right.
you were telling me about this guy back here.
Oh, so this is a more recently described Bobilum. You know, in the last 7 to 8 years, this is Bobilum cubahense. It was discovered, I forget if it was Malaysia or where it was discovered exactly, but when it was discovered, like a lot of orchids, it was found in a fairly limited area, and it's more than likely been completely stripped out of the jungle. It probably doesn't exist in the jungle anymore. But it's a very slow-growing Bobilum, but a very beautiful flowered Bobilum. So these go, three leaves and 3 bulbs on this plant go for $300 when I'm willing to sell one.
Right. So a lot of your plants in here, they're fairly large collection plants. They're not
correct.
They're not for sale. So you mostly do your seedlings. You do your flasking and your seeds.
Well, I do a little bit of both. It just depends. Like, something like this that's still more special to me and also not fast growing. I'm not willing to butcher this plant to death just to make somebody else happy because it makes me happy as a big plant.
Right, and that's the whole point of growing this is making yourself happy.
It is a business, but I'm still a hobbyist at heart, just like a lot of you guys out there. I like to grow big mature plants and see what they'll do.
Mm-hmm. No, your collection is, I love coming here. It is always amazing. And so all these benches, though, these are all your little, you send the seeds off to be flasked, and then
I send seeds off to a lab here in California, and they flask them, and then when they get to a certain size, they send the flask to me, and I create what I call a compot, a common pot of seedlings. This is just,
So how far is this out of the flask? About how long ago did you?
Could be 6 months or so on that one. These I mounted. These were pretty much this size right out of the flask, and I just mounted all of them.
Okay, so it just depends on the species.
Yeah, it just depends on how big they are when I get them and what they are. But most things go into a compost. And they stay in the compost. At least 6-8 months, maybe a year.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you start to get maybe a second growth on them, and then it's usually time that you can put them in their own pot. You don't want to leave them in a compost too long, because then they get really difficult to untangle.
Gotcha.
All the root mass that's in there.
Makes sense. All right, so this is, while we're over here, this is one of my favorite things you do. You're always experimenting with different things to mount onto. So what is this that we've got the orchid growing on?
Right. So this is a giant industrial-sized scrubby pad.
I love this.
And I get these from Home Depot. I found that Home Depot, you can buy them by the case. And I'm always looking for something that's not going to rot.
Okay.
There's the one issue you'll run into with using material like this is that once the orchid grows into it, you're never getting it out of it.
Okay.
You can take front lead divisions that grow off of it, the mount and stuff, but you're never gonna, once the roots get down in this stuff, because this stuff's not gonna rot, and it doesn't come apart.
So make sure you really like where you put it before you put it on something like this.
Make sure that you're going to be okay with it being on something permanently like this. But I mean, if you're growing the plant well, it's going to grow off of the plant. It's going to cover the plant, and it's going to grow off the plant like something like this.
I love your giant clumps of plants.
So that's a bulbophyllum, and underneath here somewhere is a piece of tree fern that's probably about that big.
Oh my gosh.
And maybe that big around.
So how long did it take to get to that size?
Oh geez, this says 2016.
Oh my gosh.
And I bought this off of a guy on eBay. He used to live here in California and he moved to Florida. And it was just, I don't know what it was, 5-6 bulbs, 8 bulbs.
I was gonna say it was probably pretty tiny when you started that.
Like a lot of stuff you see on eBay, it wasn't any specimen. It was 6, 7, 8 bulbs.
Well, they don't turn into a specimen usually until you've gotten them for a while. I've noticed that.
Yeah, most things take a while. Even bulbos that tend to grow kind of fast. Here's another one.
That is a monster of a plant.
And so this was mounted, I think, on a piece of, either in a basket or on a piece of wood, and it had been on there so long that eventually, all the detritus, all the stuff that's dying underneath a big plant like this can start to lead to bacterial issues. And so you'll have to get it off of there, or the plant will decline and just can die on you really fast.
Okay.
So this started having issues, and I saw yellowing leaves and things dying and stuff, so I knew it was time to do something. So I have these pinch baskets made of clay that this guy that's been dead many, many years, he used to make these, and I was lucky enough to acquire a bunch of them. So I just took the plant off whatever it was mounted on or whatever basket it was in, and I just cleaned off as much of the detritus and dead stuff as I could, and just laid it right on top of this basket that I inverted. And I didn't put any more moss down or any more media, because there was already probably bacterial stuff going on that I didn't want to, continue.
Uh-huh.
And then I obviously sprayed it with fungicide and stuff, but, and just waited. And, it sulked, and it was a little sad. It had for a little while, but you can't tell now.
Right. No, it looks thrilled now. That is...
It was probably a year or so ago that I redid it. So
all of your pots, even this really wide, shallow pot, that is...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's just a big, giant plastic pot that I cut almost all the pot off of.
Oh, okay.
So I can have a shallow pot.
That is crazy. So how old is that giant bulbophyllum?
Oh, geez. I'm not sure. You guys can see. Can you see the spike or not?
Yeah, I can.
Get in there. So
those are amazing flowers.
Yeah. So that's Bulbophyllum benedictii. They've now moved this into this envirescence. They've now put under a different name. I forget, but I don't really care. I still like to call it benedictii, and I still like to call virescence because they look really different color-wise. Anyway, this is a pretty cool thing. I've always liked this.
So how would you describe that flower shape? What is that? Like
a condor thing, or some kind of, I don't know. Some people have referred to it sort of as a condor, but this is a unidentified Bulbophyllum from Ambon Island.
I'm not familiar.
I try to remember where Ambon Island is. It's probably
putting you on the spot now.
Right, it's probably in the South Pacific somewhere.
You're gonna remember as soon as I'm done filming this.
Maybe, but everybody likes to call this either like Hellwiggy Anam green or grandiflorum green.
Okay.
But I've been told by some people over in Europe that it's supposed to get its own name at some point, that somebody is working on a paper, but I mean, that was like 2 years ago, and I still have
the regular grandiform, that's like an orangish, right?
Yeah.
The peachy color? Okay, I remember that one.
And it's a bigger flower. I have it here, but it's not in flower right now.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a hybrid, I think. So this is Unitubum by this.
Oh, okay.
By the green one. So Unitubum's a lot smaller flower, still kind of in this section. So the funny story about this is that I made this hybrid, one of the probably third or fourth Bulbiphyllum hybrid I made, and I sent the seed in, and I got back 10 flasks. I was really busy with something at that time, and I kind of just let the flasks sit. You know, usually you can let them sit for quite a long time, and they're fine. And I let them sit too long, and the agar inside the nutrients that they live off of, when they're in the flask, it got hard, and so I finally deflasked them, and they struggled. And every single plant died except this one plant.
So that's a very special plant there.
It's a very special hybrid, I guess, because it's the only one I have. And this is actually the first time it's ever flowered.
Nice. So it had the will to live. The other ones just weren't meant to be in this world.
And some guy in Malaysia or Southeast Asia made this hybrid. I saw it like on Facebook or Instagram, and so I remade it. I don't think he ever named it, though. I'm not sure if you can name it because this doesn't actually have a name.
Oh, so you'd have to know the parentage to give it a proper name.
Since we don't have a specific name for this, I don't know if the RHS would even
gotcha.
Yeah, would let you register. So I don't know, as we go through here, I've got lots of seedlings. I raise lots and lots of seedlings of different stuff. Most of them I make myself. I do sometimes buy from the Thai vendors that sell flask, like Manote from Tropical Exotic, and I sometimes buy from Marnie Turkel flask and stuff. So
But you have to have the skill to harden them off. That's what I always struggle with my flasks.
Yeah, in each different species can be a little different. Some are very challenging. Some things like Vandas. Vandas I usually take out a flask and I mount them like this instantly. I don't harden them off in under domes or nothing.
They're tough enough to take it.
For me, they typically are. I just take them out and I mount them and I toss them up here and off they go.
All right, I have to ask you, what's this giant one over your head? Oh. This giant bronze beauty.
This is Silogeny incrusata.
Okay. That is very unique.
It's a very beautiful thing, and the really cool thing about it is that these little spikes where you see the little flower here. These spikes can last years and years and years and years and years.
It just keeps blooming off the spikes year after year.
As long as you don't damage the terminal bud here. Everywhere, I don't know if you can see these little, see the little notches?
Oh yeah, I see. They just continue down.
Yes, everywhere there's been a notch, there's been a flower.
That is impressive.
So these spikes will last for a really long time. As long as they don't get damaged or a bug doesn't eat on them or what have you. And yeah, they get really beautiful bronzy foliage. I raised a batch of seedlings. I raised like 300 seedlings of this.
Oh my gosh.
At one time.
That foliage color is just really unique.
So they weren't all this beautiful, but I kept like 4 or 5 of what I thought were the best, nicest looking clones. And here recently, I think last year or whatever, I sold a couple more of them, and I've now just have 3 of the original batch of seedlings that I raised.
Oh, I see them up there. Okay.
Yeah, there's
beautiful.
1, 2, 3. So down here we have another big giant Bulbilum. See, this is Tahiti, and it's in a 3.
I have to get you in the shot just for context on how big this plant is. This is insane.
It's in a 3-foot kiddie pool.
Oh gosh. That is insane, sir. So this is a little bit too big for our dart frog tanks, is what you're saying.
I think so.
We could maybe do tree frogs with this
I'm
plant.
Break this spike off.
I can film it in there. You don't need to break it off.
It's old. It looks like it's been eaten on by a slug or something.
I have it. Beautiful.
Yeah, but there's a spike in there. There's
okay, so I've got to go back to your blueberry too before we get too far. Is you also do a lot of the epiphytic blueberries.
Yes, I've been getting into those the last couple of years. This is a really neat little miniature one called Spirospermum decimale or decimale.
The little red flowers.
It's these beautiful little red flowers that gets a bunch of white berries on it.
So you said that this one doesn't grow enough really to take division, so you've been doing this by seeds?
Yeah, this plant, strangely, a lot of these epiphytic blueberries, they just keep growing. growing and growing and growing, and they get really long. I've had this one for a few years now, and it never really seems to get any bigger. It seems like they grow to about this length, and then slowly they start dying off, and then you get more new growth from up here, which I've never seen any other blueberry.
No, that's very compact. So that would be a perfect tank size
this would be-
blueberry.
yes.
It just needs to be easier to propagate.
Right?
They always have to have a drawback somewhere.
Well, seeds are a good way to propagate, though.
Yeah.
That's a pretty decent way.
So this is is that a Shinorchis by your head?
No, this is from Japan. This is a Chrysostoma scolapendra.
That's beautiful. That is going absolutely crazy.
Scolapendrifolium.
So how old is this plant here?
Oh, 1998.
Oh my gosh.
Originally. This plant's been redone a few times, and I'm not the original owner. I didn't originally purchase this. I used to have a really good buddy who died about 10 years ago when he was 88 years old, named Howard Gunn, and I acquired a lot of his plants or divisions of his plants, and so this 1998 date is from when he originally purchased this plant.
That's a nice way to carry on his legacy.
Right, yeah. I've not been growing orchids this long. Just to believe it.
But you've done an amazing job with them.
Oh, well, thank you. So, let's see if we keep going.
So we got the cooler growing stuff back by the wet wall, and you've got all your bromeliads back here.
Yep, we're running back into the wet wall to the cooler area. We've got these
Yersinia
crispa.
I don't think it's focusing on the tag.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go.
There we
All
go.
right, we got it. So you got a couple different clones. You got a green.
Yeah, there's a greenish, reddish one. There's a really nice burgundy one, and then I just got this one maybe a year or two ago. It has, instead of having these orangey flowers, it's got yellow.
Oh, okay. So you have different flower colors.
Yeah, it's almost like an albinistic, and it's very pale green.
Beautiful.
Instead of yeah.
All right, so you grow everything that I can't grow back here.
Oh.
All these little Dendrobium cuthbertsonii.
Yeah, we've got cuthbertsonii back here. We've got Seranicum. We've got a bunch of different.
These are amazing.
The Highland.
And every time I come here, I swear these are always blooming.
Oh yeah, there's always flowers.
Oh, I didn't see that one before.
That's Epidendrum medusa.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a really neat thing. Likes cooler temperatures and bright light.
All right, I'd kill it. Nah. All right, we got to get out of the I'll kill it zone. Oh, what is that?
So this is Hellwiggy Anam. This is Dendrobium Hellwiggy Anam.
It's another cold grower.
Yeah. Actually, this can grow a little bit intermediate.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily have to be all that cool. It's because I hang it kind of above the wet wall there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's loaded with flowers, so all down in here, but all on the outside here you can see the best. So that's several clones of this. This one came from Andy.
So you said you don't fertilize this wall very often, that these do not like fertilizer.
So all this Highland stuff, I only fertilize very, very weakly, like once a month.
Okay.
At about 150 parts per million, give or take, but only once a month. All the rest, and this stuff gets watered every day.
Okay.
I mean, maybe if we're having a cloudy, rainy day in the winter or two, I might skip a day, but rarely.
We're just confirming again that I will kill these plants. I cannot water anything. And then you're doing the scrubby sponge again for the media and the pots.
Yeah, I practice with the scrubby stuff. You can cut this stuff any way you want it. I cut it, and then I also tear little bits into thinner sheets and use that to go around the root base, and then I use floral wire.
Oh, to pin your plant?
To pin everything down.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, use floral wire to pin it down.
Very cool.
So here's an old, you can see, here's one that's been on there a lot longer.
So you can't even see the sponge anymore.
Yeah, so eventually you can't see the sponge, but it's there.
And you have a very happy plant.
Yep, and it's full of roots in there. You can see.
So it's never coming off. Just like you said, you got to wait for it to grow away.
You can pick pieces off out here somewhere, but the whole plant's never coming off of it.
Right.
Unless it, yeah, it's just never coming off of there.
So you had another bulbifilm down here that was one of your other...
Yeah. So I was telling Bonnie earlier that One of my very favorite Bulbilum. I don't exactly know why, but I just really love this. This is Bobilm Cootsie. It's named after Jim Coots. He's a novice or what have you call it botanist from Australia who spends a lot of time in the Philippines, and this is from the Philippines.
So he just discovered this or identified it, or he just it was named after him.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know him personally. I've chatted with him online a little bit and stuff. So but I mean, as you don't have to be highly educated if you just can learn how to write a paper and get it accepted.
You can describe a species?
Yeah. So I don't know if he actually described this one and had it named after him, or if somebody else did it. But he does have. I think he does have a few other things named after him.
Where was the one? I think it's behind me, isn't it? The one I wanted to look at that you need to propagate more of.
Oh.
So we're going back here, and he does not currently have any available, but we need to encourage him to propagate this because it looks just like Microsorum thailandicum, the blue oil fern. And I don't know if you can see that iridescence, but this plant is amazing.
Yeah, it's a little hard sometimes to see, but it is very, very iridescent. And every time people come here and they see it, they always want a piece of it. It doesn't grow very fast for a bulbophyllum. I do take pieces off of it periodically, but some of these plants I really love and I really enjoy. And just like I said with the Bulbilum pubescens, I'm just not willing to butcher these things all the time. But I do make divisions available when I can. And I try as much as I can with some of this more unusual stuff to make seedlings, to make seed. But I've tried several times to self this and it won't do. It just won't take. But I keep trying. Maybe sometimes it's just the right day or whatever.
Well, I'll send it my well wishes, so maybe we can encourage it.
Yeah, I try every year.
Yeah.
For the last few years, I've tried every year, and I can't get it to self.
That is gorgeous. So what was the name of this one again?
Oh, this is Bulbilum spatulatum.
There we go. Oh, okay.
It has these little Chinese slipper-looking little, or duckbill kind of little flowers on it, like a serapedalum type, but with this little, duckbill.
Very pretty.
The flower. Here's something I don't see too often.
Oh, we got the Dracula.
It's a Dracula.
Ooh, beautiful. That is a big plant. Those are flowers almost to the floor down there.
Yep. Yeah, this is Vampira.
Oh, the famous one.
Yeah, Bella Lugosi.
Nice.
For all the goths. Just for all the goths.
Yeah. That's a little bit out of our size range, unfortunately. But very cool plant. What's this guy?
This is a little Mormelica.
I've never even heard of that.
Schweinfurthii. Schweinfurthiana. It's a cute little thing.
I want to show too your giant bulbophyllums up at the front, because those are what the very first time I came here years ago. That was what first struck me walking in, was those giant orchids and then the huge chains you have them hanging from to keep them from breaking off the ceiling.
Oh, right.
Here we've got some more epiphytic blueberries. Is this Zamarana? Or?
Yeah. This blooms at least twice a year. It blooms usually
beautiful.
early in the, probably maybe just before spring, and then it usually blooms again right here around the beginning of summer. Yeah, that's a very cool thing. There's another one of my favorite orchids you don't see every day. These are oh shoot, I forget the name of them. They're Polycynus. They're somewhat related to either Stanhopea or what's the other one?
Gongoria? Is it
No, it's the I don't really grow them. I can't think of it. Anyway.
Lycaste?
No, not Lycastes either. I don't grow any right now. I've had them in the past.
It's because I'm putting you on the spot. I'm telling you, it's
well,
always when you're on the spot.
I'm not growing any of that Venus right now.
So what makes this one your favorite?
So just how unusual it is. Like, see this little.
It looks like a spear.
Right. There's the little. That's the column. So that's where the pollinia is, and the basically like the female receptive part.
Oh, okay.
That's the so there's your column, and then all your sex organs are in there.
It looks like one of those glow light fish where they have the little
Right?
flashlight over
Yeah,
their
yeah,
forehead.
yeah.
Yeah, you can see it.
So yeah, it's a really neat thing.
Very cool.
And there's a few different species. I have, I think, 3 at the moment of them. 3 different species. So we can move this way a little bit.
I want to see the big boys.
Oh, everybody always likes these too, and everybody. I think a lot of people kill this because they're afraid to treat it correctly.
All right. So how do we treat it correctly?
So this is Malaxis calophylla. It's a terrestrial,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a terrestrial that goes dormant in the winter, and it has to.
Okay.
And I know there's a lot of people out there that when you tell them that you have to stop watering an orchid and let it look like it died, they're like, oh, I can't do that. Poor thing. And well, no, by continuing to water it, you're killing it.
You're ensuring its fatality.
You're ensuring its fatality.
Okay.
And so, it's not poor thing. It's what it needs. It's what it wants.
I would struggle with that. I can understand that.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
I've killed this one, so that point taken.
I find it beyond easy.
Just neglect it.
Yep. When if it doesn't go dormant by December 1st, I pull it from the bench and I go stick it in the driest spot I have where it gets no water.
And you make it go dormant.
And I make it go dormant.
Okay.
Because if you don't, it struggles. It will struggle. It won't. It needs that rest. And so usually everything dies except the cane.
Okay.
The only thing that lives is the cane. The roots die. Everything dies.
Oh, so even the roots are gone?
Yes.
So you'll have a stick?
Yeah, a lot of times the cane will fall over.
Oh, so you won't even...
Sometimes when they fall over, it's because I've left them so long. I repot them when they start growing again.
Okay.
And I don't water them until they start growing again. And sometimes because the canes fall over, I just leave them. Then the new growth goes in the opposite direction of the cane.
So you just lay them flat on top.
The cane's just still laying down on the ground.
Okay.
But it's turgid. These canes don't lose any moisture. They're turgid. They're built for this.
Okay. The plant knows what it's doing. Trust the plant.
Yep. The plant knows what it's doing. All right.
Good advice. All right. So these are the giant chains I was talking about.
Yeah.
And so you had issues getting these guys to hang up, right?
Yeah. So this plant here is this is Bobilm Cootsie. This plant originally belonged to my buddy Howard that died 10 years ago at 88 years old. He bought this from H&R in Hawaii. And if anybody wants to take a guess, they can. But this was purchased in. You want to take a guess? As a seedling.
It was bought as a seedling. All right, I'm gonna guess 80.
Not quite. 1994.
Oh, okay.
So, but that's, I've had plenty of people over here that this orchid was older than they were. So, it's not quite older than me.
I mean, it's 6 years older than my kid in the car, so
right.
Yes.
So, and I've divided this before.
So how many divisions have you gotten off this plant so far?
Oh, I've only divided it once, because it got so big that the flowers were getting trapped. There were so many leaves that the flower spikes couldn't get out. So, it kind of defeats the purpose.
Right. So how big are the flowers on this? If the leaves are...
You get a head, it's a whole bunch of flowers,
So coconut sized?
Yes, it's a head of flowers about like so.
Wow. Do they smell? Do they have the typical...
They're rancid. They're super rancid.
Wouldn't expect anything else for a Bobilum.
Well, no, you can. A lot of the Bobilums in the Cestochyla section, like labii and stuff, they actually smell good.
So there has to be the exception to the rule.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I have Bobilum claptonense down in the greenhouse. It smells like Christmas trees.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's not a scent I would associate with an orchid,
Nope,
but
it smells like Christmas trees to me. So anyway, I did have to tear this apart. It was in a steel basket before. It's in a steel basket now. I had to take a grinder to the steel basket because there were bulbs that had grown
through the basket.
Yeah, through different parts of the steel.
That's dedication.
So yeah, I had to take a grinder to get the plant out of the basket.
You can tell a true plant nerd by the level of devotion they're going to go to for that plant. That is.
Well, you just can't be afraid. You know, when it's time for something to be repotted and remounted or whatever, you got to do it.
So how much do you think that plant weighs now?
Oh, geez, I don't even know. The damn metal, so I bought a cast iron basket for it because
that is heavy metal on there. That is not.
Yeah, so the basket itself is not light. You know,
right. That's like the size of your finger for the gauge of that metal.
There's a lot of styrofoam peanuts in the back, though.
Okay, so it's not solid.
But,
oh my gosh.
I would say, easily 80 pounds or 100 pounds.
Wow.
I would bet. And so, I bought this giant piece of chain. I did not want the damn thing to fall down.
Right. You don't want accordion leaves breaking on the floor. That would be devastating.
Yeah. I will tell you one fun thing about this orchid. Because I've shipped some of these, and I've also purchased some that were shipped to me. And this whole section of macrobulbon, the leaves are quite pliable.
Oh, you can roll it up. Wow.
Yeah, you can, you don't want to go in a hurry, but you can really roll these leaves up.
I wouldn't have imagined that. That's impressive.
They're not overly rigid. They get a little more rigid, obviously, as they get, to the base. But it's, I've had medium-sized orchids that actually took a bigger box to get them into because there's no give.
Gotcha. So
they'll just snap.
And this one they just get a compact rolled like a sleeping bag in a box.
Yeah, like so up there is Bobilum medusa.
Okay.
Super rigid. You look at those leaves wrong and they'll crack.
They'll break.
Oh no, they'll crack. You'll hear the audible.
Oh, that's got to be a horrible noise.
Cracking sound. Because you go in to like clean it up, to clean old bulbs, old flower spikes off of it, or to try to get a division off of it, or whatever, and you just bump up against the wrong leaf, the edge or whatever of the leaf, and you just hear a crack. Not a bend,
just snap.
They snap. They just crack. So obviously then when you ship something like that, even if it's only 3 or 4 bulbs, you're going to want to put it in an extra larger box.
With lots of padding.
Yeah, with lots of padding and stuff so that hopefully you don't get any, a really upset customer.
Right.
Another group of my favorite orchids are these. These are Ornithosphophilus. And I don't know how many species there are, but I buy every different one I can find.
Got some blooming here.
Yeah, some are starting to come into bloom. These aren't open flowers yet, but they usually have green or white flowers, or green and white flowers. And, they're really impressive when they turn into these, fans like this. You can see there's tons of flower spikes coming, all over.
Oh, yeah, I see them coming out. So how old is that clump there that you're holding? How long does it take to get something that size?
I have a date of 2015 written on this.
Okay, so we only have to wait 10 years. we can do that.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes, especially now that I'm older and whatever, sometimes I can buy plants that are specimens, when they become available. But most of this stuff I've grown from nothing. I've grown from 3 or 4 bulbs, or what have you.
So you have a heavy attachment to your plants here.
Yeah, if I buy, sometimes I get rid of things because you can't keep collecting. I run out of space and I run out of time. So I do get rid of really big plants every once in a while, or I take 2 or 3 front leaf divisions off of them and start over, and then sell a big plant. I do that sometimes just because, I've had it 15 years and I've seen it bloom every year for 15 years.
Right, and I've helped you move some of these big specimen plants when you've sold them, and we've completely filled the van with was like 10 plants, and it took up the entire van. It was one of the most nerve-wracking drives I've ever had down to your customer in Southern California.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can, maybe if you can get around over here, so people can kind of see how big this is. So this is an orchid. This is a very fuzzy orchid. This is called Trictosia Velutina. And everything about it is fuzzy. The stems, the leaves, the roots, and even the flowers. It's just now starting to get flower spikes. And see.
So we came just a little bit too early.
Yeah. There'll be flowers on it in another month or so. But yeah, this is in a in an inverted basket up there, and because the basket's too small anymore, it has to be watered every day.
Oh my goodness.
And then you got roots in here.
Oh
There's a
wow,
root
that
mass
is crazy.
inside there. Alrighty. So
Well, thank you so much for sharing your passion for orchids with us. This was a great tour. I love coming here and visiting you, and your knowledge just always astounds me. Thank you so much for filming this for us.
anytime. I love sharing my stuff with people, you know. So anytime.
And you can find Jeff on Situ Orchids on eBay, and I will be putting his link up in the video. Thank you.